Good morning everyone. This is Sakis Paraskevov, fundamental analyst at IronFX Global, bringing you the morning comment for the 30th of October. China's trade figures show weak demand all around. Trade balance soared in September as both exports fell and imports fell sharply. Imports in particular were down 20.4% year-on-year, worse than the forecast of minus 16%. Exports were down 3.7%. The figures demonstrate how demand is softening all over the world, both domestic demand in China as construction and investment slow, and demand for China's exports elsewhere in the world. These figures are bad news for Australia and New Zealand, which count China as their major export market. Aussie and QE plunged on the news, giving back some of the last day's gains. The sharp slide in imports, however, helped for a near-record trade surplus in China, 60.24 billion versus the record of 60.62 billion. The focus now turns on next Monday's release of retail sales, industrial production and fixed asset investment, and to a key meeting of Chinese Communist Party leaders end of the month, focusing on the next 5-year plan. A lowering of the 7% growth projection is a possibility, which could hurt the Aussie and New Zealand dollar further. Overnight, from Japan, we got the minutes of Bank of Japan September policy meeting. These are not the minutes from the most recent meeting, but rather from the previous one. The minutes reveal that many members share the view that the underlying trend in inflation continued to improve. This is in line with the Bank of Japan Governor Kuroda's reluctance to take further actions at their next meeting end of this month. The focus is now about restructuring and corporate tax reform and less about using monetary policy to boost inflation expectations. USD yen continued to gyrate around the psychological 120 level. As for today, during the European day, the main event will be the German CPI survey for October. The survey for September showed a mixed picture for Eurozone's strongest economy. The expectations index declined once again from the previous month, while the current situation index increased moderately. This time, both indices are forecast to decline a bit, which could prove negative for euro. The final German CPI data for September confirmed the preliminary reading and showed a fall of 0.2% year-on-year. The market reaction at this event was modest. In Sweden, CPI and CPIF for September are due to be released. The CPI is expected to remain flat, while the CPIF is expected to have risen by a percentage point. At its latest meeting, the Riksbank maintained its benchmark interest rate unchanged and the monthly pace of bond purchases intact. I believe that unless we see a fall into deflation, the bank is unlikely to alter its stance and SEK could strengthen a bit. However, given that the bank remains willing to act even in between ordinary meetings, I will treat any short-term strength as a correction of the longer-term USD-SEK downtrend. In the UK, the spotlight will be on the CPI data for September. The headline figure is expected to have remained flat, while the core rate is expected to have risen a bit. Given that last Thursday, Bank of England officials were concerned that inflation is likely to rise slower than previously expected, a disappointing figure is likely to push further back expectations of a rate hike by the Bank of England and put GBP under renewed selling pressure. In the US, the NFIB Small Business Optimism Index for September is due to be released. Even though this indicator is not a major market mover, it is worth watching because of the Fed's emphasis on employment, as small businesses employ the majority of people in the US. Following the disappointing NFP figure in September, this indicator could attract more attention than usual. As for the speakers, ECB Executive Board member Yves Mersch, St. Louis Fed President James Bullard, Bank of England official Andrew Haldan, and BOE MPC member Ian McCarver to speak. For more information, including technical analysis, please read the full comment on IronFX.com or download our app and get all the information you need to trade delivered directly to you. And also, follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel or circle us on Google Plus to get more trading ideas. This is Sakis Paraskevov, fundamental analyst at IronFX Global, wishing you solid trading.